It's okay. Let's make this guitar better. I used to play guitar quite a bit, but I've been having a long hiatus with it for a couple of reasons. One, I'm just way too busy to actually play like I used to. And I'm most likely going through some serious carpal tunnel issues, which I still need to be looked at and diagnosed or whatever. But in other words, my hands hurt like hell, they cramp, and they're always tingling, so it's kind of uncomfortable to actually play more often as I normally would. And even the stuff that should be very easy for me is a little bit difficult. Well, anyways, one of the guitars I've always kind of wanted is known as a ESP DV8. It's a Dave Mustaine discontinued model. It's only out for 2 years, let alone there's only like a few colors. I think there was 4 of them that ESP put out with. One was Snow White, the other was black, the other was silver, and the last one was Sunburst. Now, I believe they did a Sunburst one that was for sale to the public, but they were only out for 2 years, from like 2006, 2008, or 2004 to 2006, something like that, before Dave Mustaine went to Washburn, and then currently now Gibson. I liked his ESP DV8s. I thought they looked really good, and it has a lot of the specs on it that I technically wanted. It wasn't way too flashy. It was a good, looked like a good weaponized flying V, which I don't really like the Gibsons because they're just too rounded. And they look kind of, to me, in my opinion, they're silly. And if you want a guitar to play metal, you need to have something that looks like a weapon that can kill you. Hence one of these. Well, anyways, the ESP DV8s, and Snow White is actually the color I would choose. Is even really difficult to find. You have a better chance finding the LTD version, but I'm not interested in the LTD. The differences between the LTD and the ESP is really the fretboard. The fretboard material on the ESP is ebony, and the LTD is mahogany. Other than that, everything's the same. The body's made the same, the construction's the same, and it was neck through. The material's the same, the hardware was the same, the fret sizes were the same. Everything was exactly the same, other than the name on the headstock and the material of the fretboard. Well, like I said, those guitars are really hard to find, let alone the ESP version in Snow White. The couple things on the ESP version I would change: it had a pick guard and kind of like almost like a screen guard where the strings would be coming through the body on theirs. Those two things I kind of don't like, and I don't like the 8-ball on the first fret on as far as their inlays. Other than that, everything else I would kept the same. Actually, one more thing, I would change the pickups to EMGs, which for actives I like those. So on this one here, I decided since that's going to be kind of hard to find, and I could have probably ordered one through the custom shop, but that'll probably be about $6,000. So I decided, why don't we just do one as a build for this channel? So these Jacksons are actually Fender Jacksons, and if you know anything about Jackson guitars, they were really good up until Fender bought them. So a lot of guitars say their quality is down, and I kind of would agree, because it's more mass produced cheaply, which hence to this one, which you can still get today. This is, I think it's a J320. I think that's what it is. They pretty much sell everywhere, from like on Musician's Friend, Sweetwater, Amazon, for like $300, $350 if you want the Floyd Rose type of tremolo. For me, I'm kind of wanted the string through, just like the DV8. Plus, I don't do much lead playing, so I don't really need, to yank on a whammy bar. I don't really do that anyways. And the other good thing is why I'm going for fixed bridge is I can quickly go to a different tuning. As far as using like a Floyd Rose system, if you want to change your tuning real quick, it ain't real quick. You gotta unlock the nuts, you gotta retune, you gotta lock the nuts, and you gotta do the tuning at the bridge. And a lot of times you got to keep tuning, retuning because you got to deal with all the springs for the tremolo. You got to get them dialed in. So it's just a lot of work just to change your tuning real quick. As far as a fixed one, you just turn your tuning keys and you're tuned to whatever it is, and then you can just go right back. So anyways, on this guitar I would recommend this one as far if you're kind of like a new guitar that, you know, you're on a tight budget and you're kind of just starting out. I wouldn't say like make one of these as your first guitar. If it was me, I would say you need to learn trial by fire. Get the cheapest piece of crap Sears catalog Kurt Cobain guitar you can get, the kind that always goes out of tune and that feels like crap. You know how to make it better, so when you jump on a decent one, you can actually appreciate playing a little bit better, and at least you kind of know what to do when things go goofy on your guitar and how you can kind of fix it. Because believe me, I know some people that have to take their guitar into a shop just to change the strings, which is kind of dumb. Any guitar player should know how to change their own strings. Let's talk about what we're going to do to this one. Now, for $300, this is a pretty decent guitar. And one of the things I was concerned about is I prefer a neck through. It's kind of one I wanted for as far as a V, like the ESP. But this one is a bolt-on. And going through the reviews before I got it, a lot of the positive things about where that many guitar players was pretty surprised is the neck. It's pretty fast. It's pretty smooth. Like the real only complaints on it are kind of like the fretges could use a little bit more filing on the edge, but other than that, not a big deal. It's a pretty awesome neck. Feels good actually. But overall, yeah, this guitar needs some upgrading to make it kind of like almost smooth and playable as this one that's in here. This is my other Ibanez BK777 Universe. Yeah, this is a real good guitar and it plays really good. So I want to say compare how it feels. I just know, hey, this is a way better guitar. Let's bring this thing closer to, you know, respectable limits. The scope of work of what we're going to do on this thing. So let's kind of go through a rundown on what we're going to change. Let's just start with the hardware. That's going away. Bridge going away, out of here. Going to change it with like a Tone Pros roller type of bridge, like something you would see mostly in a Les Paul. Pickups out. They're okay, but yeah, I've got better passive Seymour Duncans just sitting on a shelf, which is better than that. But we're going active. We're going EMG. In fact, we're going to put a little bit of Metallica into this, so it's kind of like a Dave Mustaine, Kirk Hammett bit prototype, little ugly stepsister bitch. So obviously we're doing a Jackson King V like Dave's old guitars, but we're going to put EMG bone breakers, the pickups that Kirk Hammett actually used. Tuner pegs. These are just Jackson standard tuner pegs. We're going to change them to some Sprezzo locking keys. Much better, smoother system, and they'll lock. Add-ons. Going to do is, let me flip over. We're going to put in a little battery box here for the active somewhere around here. The other thing we're going to do is something that I kind of don't like is if you look down here, the plate is flush, but the spring furrows are raised. So we're going to countersink those in, make it flush along with the plate on both sides. And we're going to change this out. I'm going to fabricate one of these out of stainless, take it to work, have it powder coated. And the reason why I'm doing that, I want to add some weight in the back end over here for what is known as neck dive. And here, I'll demonstrate. So using a piece of stainless steel to remake one of these will give it a little bit more weight, and stainless is pretty heavy even compared to your regular piece of steel. It's got a few more grams of weight. And if that's still not enough, there's another trick I've heard you can use is using tire weights and putting some of them in there, but you know, where it's not going to affect electronics. We'll see how that goes. So first I'll do it by refabricating this, and if that doesn't do it, we'll add some more weights. Strap locks, going to add some of them. These are just the standard, you know, strap holders. Paint. Well, it's going to go white like I wanted with the ESP, but I'm not going to do a bright snow white, since this guitar is like pretty much a 80s 90s type of shred speed metal type of guitar. And usually I've seen some white guitars from that era, and usually the best looking ones, the color of that one is like an off-white or an ivory white. So that's what I'm going to go for on this one. So I'm not doing too much of a copy of the ESP. Maybe later down the road I can actually afford to have them make me one. But this, of course, I said it's going to be its ugly stepsister. I'm going to go for an ivory white. And because this is a bolt-on neck, and I like the neck through ones, I'm going to kind of give it the illusion. We're also going to paint the back of the neck ivory white as well as the body. So at least at a distance, it kind of looks like it's a one-piece guitar, but it's not. Plate will stay the same anyway, so that'll be also a dead giveaway that, hey, it's still a two-piece. Hardware will be in black, so it'll be a black and white guitar. Anything else I want to do? Oh yeah, the fretboard, since it's not an ebony, I'm going to make it look like an ebony. We're going to restain the frets, what they call ebonizing. So we'll just restain the frets with a darker stain to give it that look. And yeah, I'm not going to go through and do the whole fret filing down. It's got a little bit of roughness as you're playing up and down, but it's not too bad. It almost feels the same as my Ibanez over there, so I'm not going to worry about changing that. So going to get started on the teardown of this. Don't really need to see that because this channel is about the build, not about the deconstruction. So I'm going to start tearing this down. And so this will be the last time we see this guitar in this configuration ever.
Rock stupid time
Well,
lapse.
you can't have one of my f***ing videos without a time-lapse sequence. Oh, this part is pretty straightforward. Just take the whole f***ing thing apart. Yeah, I'm saving my strings for later. It's all just tag and bag. Take everything apart, tag it a bag, lay it out so you don't. So it just makes it easier just to find what goes to what goes to where, and you know, when you take apart, when you're doing a massive project like this, and you're going to have a lot of different parts, just take it all apart and keep it organized. It saves you a lot of time and headache later. Some of the stuff that you don't, you put it back on this thing is pretty much most of it. It's not being put back on it. Probably going to use for something else. If not, who knows? Maybe I'll find a piece of guitar at the swap meet and take some of these leftover parts and make something out of it. What you see me doing there on a notepad is that I'm kind of like mapping out what the wiring used to be. Because like I said, who knows? I might actually shove these pickups into something else. And so it just helps me think about on how to wire it back up. So something you might want to do. Also, just in case, if you're doing something like this and for some reason you got to put it back, at least you know how to put it back. So in this case, it's always good to have some type of info. So my own basic diagram.
something that you can't really see that well is since the strings came out, the string ferrules, they fall right out of the body. They're not even snug enough in there. So just, I don't know if anybody else who has the same guitar that does the same thing, but if you were to take the strings off just to change them, you better be careful, you're going to lose those little things. They just fall on the floor and you never find them. So, I got to care of that. But yeah, stripping the whole thing down, the only thing that's still, that I'm not taking off is the nut. Yep, now I gotta unsolder all the bullshit. The only piece I really need after all that is the toggle switch. The toggle switch is going to be reused. So, yeah, this is just really great fun. Yep, I have a feeling there's more to come. Alright, I guess it's back to the show.